That part will probably be on because it's actually already hit it in OBS. So anyway, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another Juices Loose podcast. And yeah, we're back, and not anything like major to talk about this week. So we'll answer the few questions, and then whatever comes up comes up. Robert's got a. Oh, I got some audio coming through from the podcast. It's gone. All right, Robert's got a little Harry Potter there. What's is that your new pickup? The game you just picked up, or what?
Yeah, I picked this game up. I was like 2 weeks ago or something. So it came in a few days ago or something. And I honestly I looked up. Apparently, at least for critic wise, apparently it's not bad. Apparently it's pretty good.
That wasn't the same ones that the Wii had, right? That wasn't the same.
No, well, this would be on GameCube. It still wouldn't hit Wii yet. But I think Wii is I think maybe got a little far. I don't know which one when it started hitting Wii.
I played one on the Wii, and yeah, using the wand, the remote as a wand. It was a cool idea. It didn't work as good as it probably should have, though. It's a little frustrating, but anyway.
But were you able to? I know one of them you could like explore Hogwarts, like really,
yeah, you could explore really Hogwarts, but it was the spells, because the Wii remote without the Wii Motion Plus wasn't that good at picking up accurately your motions, so it was kind of. But it was still cool. It was still cool to explore Hogwarts.
I bought that. What was the Harry Potter 1 game for the PS4?
There was one.
I bought that for. I can't remember what it was called. I got it somewhere.
PS4.
That was a big secrets thing.
Oh, was it PS3? Maybe. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't think there's been any this gen.
Yeah, it was when they were trying to do all the stuff.
Oh, with the move.
Oh, the PlayStation Move.
Yeah, it was the book. You had like a big book. And you had to do like all the spells and stuff.
Was that actually a Harry Potter game? I thought it was just a generic
I don't know if it's
wizard game.
Yeah,
no, it was Harry Potter because you do like Wingardium Leviosa and stuff like that.
I think it was just called like Book of Spells or something.
Before we got on
here, I was
trying to talk shit about my Mac and my mic and
all. No, I was saying I have no doubts that you will have any issues because you haven't since you got it.
Yeah. No, the problem was when I turned my wireless headset on, my headphones, they kept trying to connect as my mic on Discord. Discord's been stupid.
Yeah, because there was a long stretch there where your audio was pretty staticky, and there was just nothing we could do about it. But it's crystal clear. Your camera looks good.
PC. Like I was saying, I guess it was that PC.
Maybe someone doesn't know how to work their computer.
Oh no, not the issue at all.
Sure, of course it is.
It was your PC. I wouldn't say it was PCs in general. It was definitely your PC.
Well, it's my PC, but because it's stupid. Well, we're not gonna get into it because I do both. And you guys don't, so it's like we're gonna be having a one-sided.
I'm just saying, Robert's never had since he's got his computer. He's never had an issue that I know of.
Okay.
Yeah. Or my laptop the whole time. To be fair.
Well, that's I guess that's the all being sample size that we need for this discussion. One person.
Well, there's only two.
Two people. That's
Terrell, me. I mean, I've had a few little quirks here. But either way. So, anybody play anything new they want to talk about? Because I didn't. I played Rocket League a few times, and
I played the second half of the Pokemon DLC. Well, I'm still playing is what I should say.
Oh, yeah, that came out. So, yeah, I was a little upset you didn't stream Ori again. You're streaming damn Pokemon. I was like,
man. Actually, I didn't stream Wednesday. I didn't stream it, and then Thursday I streamed it. I am streaming it this Wednesday though. Don't worry, it's coming.
What's the DLC contain? I'm not even sure.
So it's essentially like the first DLC. It opens up a new area that includes some of the other Pokemon that weren't in the game originally, while having its own like unique story. Although this one seems to be primarily focused on the legendaries, so you can catch I think most, if not all, the legendaries now in the games with like their own kind of side quests and shit. It's been pretty fun so far, and I fucking love the world design. I wish the main game had this fucking world design. My God, but
I was just gonna ask you they improved upon like the level design or just how the game looks, because I know some games it feels like the DLC always looks better than the main game. I don't know if that's actual.
I've heard some people say that about Tundra. I don't know if I necessarily agree with it. It's so close to where I wouldn't really say it's like a big difference. But I have heard some people say that, but I don't know if I believe it. I appreciate the open world design where it's like it's a fucking RPG. Let me kind of go wherever I want, which is one thing I like about the DLC. Literally, you do the opening cutscene, which is like 5 minutes in a battle, and then go ahead and do it. Oh, there's plot, and just skip it. Just do whatever the hell you want to. So I appreciate that. So I still need to do some of the other side quests, but it's been pretty fun so far.
Cool.
I just want to say I just realized that Retro has this huge stack of damn shit back. I didn't even see that yet.
Special editions there.
Because T had this video about Super Mario Maker, that kind of shit, and the stuff came out with like Fire Emblem. So I just wanted to show that back in the Wii U days, we got fucking, and this is not even all of them, because we in Europe.
No, you got that. We didn't.
Yeah, you got that shit.
Yeah,
We didn't get that.
I said we in Europe, we got like all these fucking Wii U big box edition, and this is not even all of them and shit.
Yeah,
that looks pretty cool. Yo, I wish you had that shit.
Like scarf, figurine, amiibo. There's like a statue in here and shit, like booklets and shit, and that was for normal base edition.
It's crazy that
And like the Mario All Stars, like
Good
with
for
these
you.
the video was
I'm
pretty
happy
good.
you have.
it's crazy that they're not
Nintendo's fault. How embarrassing!
like it's not like this is just money that they could be making unless they like can't make as much money off a special edition as just the base game, because they actually have to have stuff manufactured depending on the price. But you think they would be doing more of this with the success of the Switch.
Exactly.
You would be getting
That's what
more.
I'm
You say
talking
that,
about
but there's small little indie companies like NIS America and whatnot. They pack their game, even the Switch games. They pack with cool little, what the guides and booklets and little trinkets, stickers, all kinds of stuff. I'm gonna pull out in a minute. My what's the game that's like Advance Wars? That game that came out recently. That's kind of like Advance Wars. War Group. I'm gonna pull out my War Group stuff and show you what was in the freaking package with that. It's a little $30 game, like.
It's like Clocked and I. We were talking last time we were playing.
Exactly.
Last time we were playing
Clocked
Borderlands, we were talking and like we're thinking about special editions for the Switch, and the only ones I could think of from Nintendo was Breath of the Wild and Xenoblade Chronicles 2, and I have those. Those are the only ones I could think of. And the rest, Nintendo just did fucking jack shit. And then the Wii U, like every single game Nintendo released, was like a mess. And these were the kind of like standard ones. You had like bigger editions and shit, and they just don't do that for the
Look at
Switch.
this section.
Look at that beautiful
that.
Xenoblade Chronicles X. Yeah, this is
Nintendo
beautiful.
is just like when the
It's like
Wii
it's
U
brand
was
new,
kind of
yo.
failing. Nintendo was just really desperate,
Yeah.
and it made for really good shit for us. And now that the Switch is selling, they don't even need to try. Like, come on, 3D All Stars should have been something like really nice and shit, like in this video. And then you can even got a fucking booklet. It's like, man,
Not even a booklet.
That clip of Krista or whatever from Nintendo Minute opening
Oh
up.
man, that was embarrassing.
So let's just.
I had never watched it fully until making that video, and wow, that embarrassing.
Let's just take a minute here just to say hey to the people in the chat. We have Royal Hustler, Lenny Wright, Donnie Arts, Matthew, and Bad Latency just joined. He FE3H has an amazing special. Is that what is FEH? Fire Emblem Three Houses.
It does have a special
In the US?
Yeah.
Oh,
It
that's so
I was
weird.
mad.
Why did
I was mad because I didn't get it because I was trying to pre-order it and they canceled my pre-order and that pissed me off and I never bought the game.
I remember
was so
that.
mad.
I remember that.
Yeah.
So
That's great.
see, we got 15 viewers. See if you guys feel free to hit the like button there. I'm sure there's at least one or two people watching that aren't going to hit the like button no matter what, but they're stealth watching us. But yeah, so
I came here to like content. Come on.
got Rakia here, and so anybody else play anything new this week that they want to talk about?
I didn't play jack diddly shit. Seriously, I played nothing. This has been a crazy work week for me. So
I've had a good week, man. I've had a good week.
That's
of
right.
gaming.
Yeah, you Axiom Verge.
Like I said,
had doing shit.
I'm growing up. I'm trying to be like my mentor. You know, my mentor.
Robert,
gaming with me. You know, I'm in Padawan right now. I completed a few games this week. I completed Axiom Verge, which I tweeted recently. I finally completed Devil May Cry 5, which I can't recommend to anyone.
What about for the 15 or $10 I paid for it? Do you think it's worth that? I feel it was.
Yeah, it was. I'm being over the top a bit, but it's
a little facetious.
but it's not all that. And I also completed Bomb Chicken, which I preferred. Which I preferred over Devil May Cry. And Retro's not happy because I completed it before him.
That's in my backlog too.
And I started Concrete Genie tonight on the PS4. A very pretty game. Gosh, very pretty. I'm almost through that already, I think. Just based on what he said in the story. So yeah.
This man blazing through games.
So yeah, I'm doing all right, man. I'm doing all right.
So I wonder how Retrodust's doing on Control, because you got like 2 months left. You're supposed to finish it by the end of the year as part of our deal, or our bet. Oh, he's frozen.
He's frozen. He heard that and he ran away.
He's running like Super Brothers when it comes to Smash Brothers.
Look at that PC's on.
No, look at, God damn it.
He's got a reboot, so we'll get that. Get his response. We'll get to that response.
God damn it.
But
I'll say that I actually I'm on the final 2 missions of Doom Eternal. The final 2 missions. It's pretty intense. Yeah, it's pretty intense.
Yeah,
well, especially the last 2, like I mean, I will admit, I'm very interested to see how this is gonna run on Switch. I mean, like it's
so's Bethesda.
Yeah, apparently, especially if we haven't seen anything of it. Imagine that's all we do the whole time.
We should all do that. We should play a game. Who's actually frozen and who isn't?
You
gotta be an awesome pantomime to be able to let you know.
All right, so we had
I was saying I'm also almost done with another game that I definitely can't wait to talk about it. I can't wait, but just next week.
Shit.
You'll know by Wednesday or Thursday. You'll know what that game is, and it's gonna be
because it's going to be at the end of your latest back of the backlog.
Which will be
Can you answer? Can you give us a hint? Like
I'll say it's on the Wii because I was talking about the Wii. I'll say it's on the Wii.
You played it on the Wii, huh? Yeah. All right, so Visor Grunt joined Malik. Simmel 11, Rock, yeah, I think you were already here. Unforgiven, oh, maybe Rock, yeah, he was above. Thanks for joining, guys. We're just talking about some games we've been playing. I gotta ask, Clocked It to share his update on your Animal Crossing save situation. Do you have an update for us? You want to let people know what happened?
Oh no.
Yeah, so basically, put in Animal Crossing one day and it just didn't work. It came up with some error number. Don't know what it was. Took the game out, put it back in, still didn't work. Tried other games. They loaded up fine. I got the physical version of Animal Crossing. Looked online and Nintendo's FAQs, which are trash, suggested that it could be like an update or a corrupted file. And it says to do these procedures. So you check if it's got a corrupted file. It said nothing's corrupted. So I thought, right. I remember doing the cloud save for it, which, we're now glad cloud saves exist on bloody Animal Crossing. So I deleted the save file on the console. Put it back in. Still didn't work. And then Nintendo also suggested that it might be because you've got an SD card might be corrupted inside there. Took that out, fired it back up, still nothing. And then I decided to look on the back of the Switch cartridges, and when you got the gold strips, just on the actual Switch cartridge itself.
I forgot to look at my Breath of the Wild one for you and see what mine looked like.
Yeah, and I could see that the tips of the gold strips have been slightly worn away, possibly from where it's been put in and out of different Switch consoles, because we got 3 Switches in the house. And I thought, oh man, is this the reason why? I checked my other older games like Breath of the Wild and Mario Kart 8, which I know have been played a lot, and I could see that they have been worn away slightly. And I checked my other Switch games, which haven't been played anywhere near as much, and they were all absolutely mint and perfect. So I'm guessing that my cartridge is gudgy fudged. I was going to contact Nintendo. I don't know what type of warranty games are under. I haven't even checked. But yeah, I haven't been on it now for a week, I think, is it? I think so.
Yeah, it's worth a
I'm
try.
going through a withdrawal, yo.
It's a week.
I mean, you might as well call them, see what they say, but I mean, I don't know what would happen in that situation.
That's what I mean. It's just a game, like, At the end of it, I did buy it from their store, but like I said, there's if that is the case, that is worn away already just from being put into different consoles a few times. That's horseshit, man. Because how many? I mean, we've all our 3DS games I've played, all my N64 games, all the NES games, SNES games, whatever, man. I've never had this issue ever.
But you can look at the quality difference between like a 3DS cart and a Switch cart.
Yes.
Night and day, man. And night and day.
Yeah, I mean, I get that they want it to be smaller, thinner, and stuff, but I think
very fragile.
I think we got to the point where they're just, if it was any smaller, I mean, I probably wouldn't even want to buy physical. They're just so small, and like to insert them into the system is like it just can't be any smaller. They definitely got to stay that size or go back to a larger size or something. But that sucks. I haven't had it.
Let me see if I can. I thought you'd be able to see it.
Probably not. But I keep forgetting to look at mine. I'm curious now, like what the wear is on some of the games. And then he brought up Mario Kart 8, so I got a story. I was told you guys a while back that I was trying to sell Mario Kart 8, so I put it up on Facebook Marketplace like probably 6-7 weeks ago. And I'm just sharing a story. I don't know if he's got earphones. Yeah, I'm talking about trying to sell Mario Kart 8, but yeah, try to.
You're not going to be able to see it. Not going to be able to see it, but these are the gold strips I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Just at the top on the rims of the gold bars, they look to be slightly chipped, as if just probably from where you've been putting it in and out. But all my other cartridges are absolutely mint. Those gold bars are completely rectangle with no wearing or anything. But
could just
Animal Crossing, I can see every single one of them are slightly worn away on the top.
Damn. It's only been March.
I mean, you could just been a bad batch of whatever the context.
But at the end, like I said, Zelda is not as bad as Animal Crossing when I compare them. But it has got some wearing, but Zelda works absolutely fine. I've never had any issues with Zelda.
Rakia says that he hasn't had a game card fixed, but Nintendo UK seems to fix his hardware years out of warranty for free, so there might be hope, he says.
Yeah, like I said, I bought it on this store, so I'll make the effort tomorrow and drop them an email or so.
All right, so I was starting to say I decided to try to sell my copy of Mario Kart 8 because I just, we've been harping on Nintendo. I've been kind of regretting that purchase. I have 50 hours in the game, and that was almost entirely just getting the stars, 3 stars in each cup. Yeah, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. I still have the Wii U digital version, but I was like, I looked back, and that's when I had a Gamers Club with Best Buy. So I paid $48 plus tax. I paid $50.40 for it.
Yeah, me too.
And it's still $59.99. So I was like, all right, I'll throw it on Marketplace for $50. and say, it's still $63 after tax here in Michigan, save $13. This thing's like new. I put barely used, which it is. It looks fine. The cart looks brand new. And probably 3-4 weeks of nothing, so I dropped it to 45, and then I had lady said she's gonna buy it for her kid. And the day of, I said, all right, we still good? Oh yeah, I'll meet you at the Walmart parking lot 6 o'clock. About 5:30, I was like, all right, I'm leaving work. I'll be right here in a white truck. And she told me her vehicle. And then I get there and nothing. So I'm like, well, I was like, okay, are you showing up? I said, I'm gonna leave. Nothing, and just absolutely left me hanging. So I went home. She never checked any of the messages. A week later, she hadn't checked any of the messages. So I was like, fuck that. Deleted that. Reported her as bad buyer. And next person wants to buy it, or said they wanted it. And then like, well, I'll give you 30 because it's $49.99 at Meijer's for all Switch games right now. And I'm like, you sure? And I was already going there anyway for groceries. And I'm like, no, it's not. So I was like, forget you. And I just blocked that person. Then I got another person. All right, I want to buy it. And I was like, all right, can you meet at 6 o'clock today? Yep. And then they're like, I was like, well, this is where I usually meet up. And they're like, oh, wait, I'm in Wyoming, Michigan, which is like an hour away. And I was like, so can you be here at 6? Oh, no, that's not worth it. By the time I spend gas and stuff, I'm going to have to, it's going to be the same price as buy it. I'm like, Jesus Christ, it's 3 times now. And then now I have a fourth person who's out of town, says she'll be here at the end of the week and wants to buy it. And I'm just like, I don't know what it is, but I'm having bad luck trying to sell this game. And it's just like, I might even drop it to 40 if I can't. I mean, if I lose $5, if I sell it for 45 and I paid 50, like $5 over almost basically 3.5 years.
I think it's incredible that you could still sell it for that much secondhand.
Yeah, I mean that's one of the perks of Nintendo not dropping the price ever. And Best Buy had it on sale for about 2 weeks. That's what really hurt me. But it's back up $60 everywhere. So I thought that thing would sell a lot sooner. It's just been bad luck. But
I saw everyone checking their cartridges as well.
Yeah, I see.
The T was like.
Well, I was just like trying to compare the quality of both. I don't know if you can see it, Mary, because one of them has large teeth for whatever.
Yeah, it has the 5 large contacts versus a bunch of small ones. I wonder.
Yeah.
What the?
I wonder if that's a thing.
But I mean, I've had software close because of an error on my Switch for, just about every game, but not frequently, like once or twice. Rocket League did it. It had some kind of memory leak going on, and it used to do it constantly. Other than that, I haven't really seen any consistent issues with any of my games. But I played my Wii U more than my Switch this year, so I can't really tell you. But so one thing I want to talk about. It's nothing major, but I thought it was interesting. With the new consoles coming out, it seemed like Xbox has always been ahead as far as like showing stuff. Like they showed the Series X almost 10 months ago now, and then they showed the breakdown, and then they showed, they revealed they had games first, and then Sony comes late, but then they did, I would say, a little bit better with like when they showed their games, it was all running on PS5 or, stuff, and it's like people have been asking like, where the hell is the PS5? No one's even seen one like in real life. It's just all CG renders. And then they go from no one's has seen it, and we've seen the Series X since like January, like in physical form, to the first time you see it, Jeff Keighley of all, that son of a bitch, he has like in the retail box, like a full finalized, not a preview copy, like a full finalized hardware in retail box. That he could tease the actually opening, and it has all the packaging and everything of the same retail packaging that you would get when you pick it up on November 12th. And it's just kind of weird how they're late to what with everything this gen, but with the next gen coming up, but then they feels like they just take it one step further with how they've done it. But of course, there's embargoes, so we can't see any reactions. We can't find out how the backwards compatibility or any of that stuff's going to work. But it did irk me, even though I'm not like this Sony pony, like a lot of people. It just irked me that Jeff Keighley was the one that gets it first and gets to show it. I don't know why that irks me. There's something about him and his brown nosing and his Kojima love. To see him,
That works.
I don't know why. It just bothered me that he was the guy that gets to show it first. But I don't know if any of you saw that or care. But
yeah, I saw
I
it.
did see the image.
for him. Well, go ahead.
No, I was just saying I saw the Jeff Keighley post. That's all.
yeah, and he has all the accessories. He has the camera, the headphones,
Yeah.
Everything.
Well, I've been seeing that other people are getting it too.
Yeah,
like
people saying they have it. I don't think anyone's really shown. I haven't seen any other
I
photos.
saw some videos.
I've seen videos and I've seen pictures.
Yeah.
Funny.
That'd be very strange. It was only Jeff Keighley.
Yeah, well, he was definitely the first I seen.
Yeah.
But I don't want to get into a whole thing about this, but I find it funny that there was some people, like, I guess Europe hasn't got them yet, and but people are trying to make a big deal because Digital Foundry didn't get it, didn't get the PlayStation 5, and they've had the Series X for a month, and so you get the conspiracy theory guys, you got the Xbox guys saying, oh, they're scared that Digital Foundry is going to expose the hardware's weak and all that, and then the Sony guys, they just love Microsoft. They don't even want the PlayStation. Like, I just thought that kind
which
of
is
shit.
hilarious because during the whole generation, it was said that they were way more being ponies than they were anything. Now all of a sudden they're Xbox guys, which I find pretty hilarious. It's funny how things can flip and people can see things so different. The same thing.
I said that in my Juice Opinions. Like, the 7th gen, they didn't talk. They just had video with like the frame rate analysis, and of course the 360 was the lead platform in it. In almost every multi-plat, ran at a higher resolution and a consistent frame rate. We know the PS3, the ports were it was very difficult. So it was like they would just post the videos, and it was always the 360 in favor. And then when the Xbox One, PS4 came out, the PS4 was lagging behind, and it was just, if you had both systems, I mean, like, there was some instances where it was just like, why does the Xbox One version run so bad? It's gotten a lot closer. It got a lot closer, a year later. And then, so a lot of Xbox guys are feeling like they were praising the PlayStation those first few years. And then when the Xbox One X come out, that was usually the winner of, quote unquote winner of the analysis. And it's like, it's just funny to me that two sides can both say the exact same thing. It's opposite, like T just said, like, oh, they're not going to call out Sony, the Xbox guys. They're not going to call out Sony. They're not going to point out the hardware's weaker, and the Sony guys are like, oh, they've just been loving the Xbox Series X. They've just been praising it. Like, they're so biased. And I'm just like, oh,
it's almost like it's almost like political parties. It's almost that same kind of tribalism and people seeing things different ways. Oh, these guys are harder. The media is harder on your guy. The media is harder on our guy than they are that kind of stuff. It's just it's funny how tribal we are as human beings.
And it's like,
I've never seen the side thing with Digital Foundry. That's one thing I will say.
I wanted to add that, but I will say that they have stepped in it a few times. I have seen situations where they have done a little fanboyish kind of triggering type of stuff. Mario Kart 8 59.
Yeah, that was just one of those
that kind of stuff. And
yeah.
They played it up. They could have just said, it's at 59, basically 60. But no, they tried to do little things like that.
Well, he said he could see it.
To fanboys a little bit.
He said he noticed it when he was playing, which was a lie. That was a lie for sure.
Yeah,
how the hell?
That's the kind of stuff that's bullshit.
But the funny thing is one video they're like, yeah, the PS4 Pro version just Resident Evil 3 just runs so much better than the Xbox One X, and then like 2 videos later, the Xbox One X is definitely the best performing platform. It's like, I've always said, and I know not everybody, I understand people don't care for their what they provide. You know, there's people who don't care about that. That's absolutely fine, and I have no issues with. I understand that. I understand people who don't like the content they put out, as far as it appealing to them as a gamer. But when somebody when somebody says something that's just not true, then that's when I've defended them a few times, I guess, in the Discord and stuff. Where I was like, yeah, I don't. Other than the Xbox game, the Xbox Series X, game what did they call that? Where they showed the first footage of games. It was the third party one, and then they had their first party one, and they were harping on them for a bunch of CGI, and like most of the was Avowed. Is that the game? It was Avowed, Fable.
Yeah.
Hellblade, not the Left 4 Dead, the one, Robert, you guessed the name of it, the third game.
State of Decay.
State of Decay 3. It was all CG, trailers. So they were harping on that from their personal perspective. I hate seeing CGI when we're at a point where games look so good, you shouldn't have to show CGI anymore. And I was like, that's the only time I've really heard them recently give like an opinion, personal opinion, but that's, I think a lot of us gamers feel that way.
What they set out to do is check frame rate. So if you're giving people CGI, they can't do their job, right? So you get that. That makes complete sense.
But it's gonna be
fanboys.
It's gonna be interesting to see, because I think Clock, that you called out John Linneman once, and he replied to you that since he's been there, he's trying to get away from just.
Yeah, I was just about to say that, because when we were talking about the Mario Kart thing, the reason why I called out John, it wasn't to him, personally.
No,
it's to Digital Foundry as a whole, because I said basically, at the end of the day, the videos you create are great, for the reason, but at the same time they still fuel what we see sometimes in terms of the fanboy.
Yeah, the fanboys use it for
wars and stuff. So as example, with the 59 frames per second every now and then on Mario Kart 8, how many people would have cared or noticed about that if it wasn't highlighted in such a way by such a website? Now, you can't stop the website from highlighting it, but I'm just saying, your websites like yourself and other websites, when you use these narratives and these tools to show people what games technically are doing, and especially when games are, for the most part, 99% fine. Mario Kart 8 is 99% fine, but then something like this gets blown out because of it. You can't blame them, but at the same time, you have run this narrative. So that's all I said to John was, Digital Foundry play this narrative a lot, about frame rates, about resolutions. That's what they do, is what they love. But it does turn focus on what people will look for in games more than anything else, for the most part.
I know this is just
what he come back with.
I just want to say quickly, are you seriously docking Mario Kart 8 1 point for that one frame?
No, here's the one thing I just Subliminal Line pointed it out. Actually, if watching enough of John Lennon, especially, he's a super tech nerd guy. Like he's done a way better job of these, like the Ori video, where he talks to the developers. They showed him toolkits of how they design the levels. Like, he's getting way more involved into the process of making games as far as covering it. And Subliminal Line pointed out he wasn't really annoyed or bothered by it, but he thought the interesting part was the game runs at 60, but it only has 59 individual frames, and then it just duplicates the 60th frame is duplicated from the previous or the next frame. And it was just kind of a quirky tech. He thought it was a glitch, honestly. He was sure.
Yeah,
it was
but
all
I will say to that is that Digital Foundry done an entire video on that thing alone. It wasn't in a Mario Kart 8 demonstration. Sometimes it skips every now and then, but for the most part, the 60 frames, no, they have an entire video, on it. And I'm sure that's the case. I'm sure I remember that.
No, it was just it was in the whole video. It was just a small part of the entire analysis that he pointed out. I'm sure people highlighted that section, but it wasn't an individual video just to
I'm
show
sure
that.
it was. I'll
I mean, it's
I'll
a long
check it
time
out.
ago, but I remember
Yeah.
it just being the analysis video where he just pointed that out.
But you know, I was John came back to me saying, "Oh, you know, we're trying to steer it away from that." No, Digital Foundry have never steered away from that. Digital Foundry Retro were trying to do something different, and that was John. That was John trying to get away from that and to focus on why retro games were so good for all these technical reasons. Even if they had technical failings, they were still impressive for their time. That's what he started to do. And I think you've seen that now with Digital Foundry. They've split into two. I think John's side is such an important part now of Digital Foundry. He could almost go off by himself. And those guys, and he would be absolutely fine. And Digital Foundry would carry on doing their own stuff. But
yeah, he's talking about his DF Retro stuff. Like
that's yeah. You know, that's all. He makes great videos. I watch every single one of those videos. The DF Retro stuff. They're awesome videos. They're the best. So the best videos we have in terms of looking into older games and stuff.
Yes, I'm looking at.
Yeah, it was just be talking about that narrative basically of frame rates.
Yeah,
and resolution.
I mean, I don't think they had those intentions of people using it that way. I just think that the fanboys found it as ways to defend or attack, you know, for their console or their console they don't
so I
like.
can see the video here 6 years ago, 100,000 views. Mario Kart 8 single player frame rate video.
Well, what? Okay, yeah, this was back when.
I mean, you have to know especially when you're putting this, you know, side by side. You're comparing consoles. Of course, it's going to be used as, you know, fodder. It's going to be used as you know, talking points. You have to know that that's going to be part of it.
I mean, it seems obvious now, but I mean, I don't know. Back when the 360 came out and they just started doing that, because I don't know the reason. I'd be curious to interview him and ask him. Was it because of the PS3, the issues with all the PS3 ports that gave him the idea? Because I'm just curious. I know it was that generation towards the end when it started, and it was just a frame rate video with no talking, no nothing. And I'm curious, and maybe I'll ask him on Twitter, see if I can get a response, if it was the bad PS3 ports that we were getting with Bayonetta, and I mean, even like BioShock and stuff didn't run very well. If that was the reason they started to do it or not, because that's just what I assumed, but I don't know. But the other thing that I thought was ridiculous, Robert shared, Microsoft, which was cool. They made up 3 refrigerators that look like the Series X, and they're really, really well done.
Yeah.
Snoop Dogg got one. I heard about that. I didn't see it. And then iJustine got the other one, which is just so weird.
So random people. Snoop Dogg, iJustine.
That
And then
surprised me.
The third one is going to be given away, some kind of
celebrities.
giveaway. But to see this
So
thing,
why Snoop Dogg and iJustine? Why them two specifically? Like
iJustine was probably one of the. iJustine is for social media. Snoop Dogg is because Snoop Dogg has essentially shielded himself out in recent years.
is he a gamer?
feel
I mean,
that's
he's
a
pretty
personal
old.
Matter to you.
Huh?
He plays
I feel
games.
that's a personal matter to you.
No, I'm just saying. Like,
Wait a minute, wait.
that's what happened.
I want to go back to what Juice just said. Is he a gamer? He's pretty old. He's probably like 4 or 5 years older than you, bro.
I know,
He's
but
not much older.
My brother's
older
4
than we
years
are.
older than me, and he wouldn't be caught dead playing games. He doesn't understand. He can't even wrap his mind around playing.
But it's not
games.
about your age. I know a guy who's 60 that plays.
Yeah.
That's a gamer.
But you know, just hanging around my older brother all the time, that whole generation, I became good friends with one of his, and they just don't get it.
And Snoop is like
Guys.
he's like at every E3. He has the esports team. Did you know that?
No.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's involved. He's not like some random.
I mean that I assume that, but at the same time, I just don't know. I didn't know, but it did seem kind of random. If he
still
wasn't.
it's still even then it's still like who do they pick and they're like, okay, who could we give it to?
So I would, if I
I'm just
won
saying
that, I literally
other
couldn't get
people
it in
you
my
can
house,
use,
judging by the size of it. I don't think it would fit in any of my doorways.
Yeah, I saw it. It was
Massive.
massive. I don't think she even got it in her place.
No,
I think she just
she's
left it in
got
the
looks like
garage,
a
didn't
huge house. So, if anybody's curious to watch that, I'll link it.
When I did see it, the first thought that came into my head was like, you know, this is why Nintendo and Sega didn't stand a fucking chance. when it came to marketing and money and shit like that. When it came to Sony and Microsoft, if a company can make something as custom as this based off a meme that was dogging their console, right, and turn it into a positive, and then flush it out around the world and say, yeah, let's give one to one of the biggest rappers, celebrities in the world. Let's give it to one of the biggest social media people in the world. Let's fuck it. Let's just give one away to some random. Fuck it. Yeah, let's just do that.
Dude, I'm waiting on Craig plushies.
This is why Nintendo made the Wii. Cause they like we can't deal with its money. We can't deal with its marketing. All we can do is turn up the Super Bowl with some fucking adverts, man. We can't be making custom fucking figures like this. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, they could. They got $700 billion US in their cash reserve.
Yeah, but it's like the way Microsoft kind of promotes shit.
They can't even put a booklet in there.
The way they do everything, man, is this fucking. It's just,
they can't even put a booklet in the damn celebration. Like what?
I mean, they could sell a line of. They could have come up with a custom, like TV. Like a 50, 60-inch TV that had the like somebody made that had Joy-Cons attached to it as part of the aesthetic, and like speakers and where the buttons were or something. They definitely could have. They just don't. It's just not their style.
I mean, what's the biggest marketing Nintendo have done? Maybe the Wizard, putting Mario 3 in there.
Pretty much.
I would say like what you just mentioned earlier.
That was a long time ago.
I was legit surprised they did the Super Bowl one.
I think it's the Super Bowl. Yeah, the Super Bowl.
Super Bowl one. Didn't they get like the president there of Japan or some shit? And
they did one ad for the Switch with Breath of the Wild during the Super Bowl, and then I think they did the Pokemon Go.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'll give them that.
Yeah.
Pokemon Go was an advertisement itself, though.
Well, Nintendo does. Yeah. Nintendo doesn't build a huge fridge, but what they've done, and I noticed with the Switch especially, is they invite and they pay their airfare for all the biggest. What do you call them? Influencers, because they're not all gaming centric channels. There's some dude who's like, I don't know if he rides a skateboard and through down New York with glasses on, and he's always vlogging.
Neistat.
Yeah, they invited him to the Switch, and he said he hasn't played Nintendo, and he gave his honest thoughts on it.
He's like a vlogger.
But then
I think the thing is that's how you get the casual market, though.
Yeah, you get them from them.
But they didn't have to pay for his because it was in New York. But a lot of people got airfare and hotel paid for by Nintendo to go give their impressions and make videos about the Switch, and it seemed to have worked. I don't know if that was what percentage of the success was due to that, but they definitely are trying new things that they didn't try before.
I added to that with my presentation.
To be fair, they were starting that during the Wii U era, though. Like that was, I remember the Wii U era. I think is when they were kind of starting to push more of the social media side. Because that was also during Nintendo's fucking like fuck you copyright phase.
Yeah,
and they were getting out of that. So
well, it was also
and they started up the Nintendo World Championship. Like they brought that back. Like they definitely did some good shit. I feel. I mean, yeah, it's not as funky as a fridge, maybe but I mean, the thing with Xbox is that they did the fridge thing to like turn it into a positive. But let's say you build like giant Joy-Cons, you have a class action fucking lawsuit going on. You don't want people thinking about the Joy-Cons.
You want people to remember that.
Well, I mean, they could have did it a few years ago, but
the difference with the fridge, sorry, Juice. The difference with the fridge is that it serves no benefit whatsoever to actually them advertising and trying to sell consoles. These fridges, right, are designed just to go out there. It's not like a Super Bowl advert to say, yeah, come and buy the Xbox One now. This is a fucking fridge.
But it costs a fraction of a Super Bowl ad, though, to make 3 fridges and ship them.
It's probably cheaper.
It feels like fucking around money. That's what the fridge. That's what it feels like. It feels like, man, I had a couple.
All it is.
Fuck it. Why not? Like,
let me make a custom fridge.
It's like an impulse buy.
It probably cost them $5,000 each for the fridge or something to maybe with shipping.
It's money.
Oh, way cheap.
To have it. to have it custom and then the custom box, I would guess probably $5 to $6 grand for each fridge times 3. I mean, it's to them that's like pennies. So it's like it's not like a Super Bowl ad costs like $6 million for 30
Well, yeah,
seconds.
but I'm saying like Microsoft kind of did say, you know what, fuck it, we don't have anything going on. Let's give these out to some relatively well-known people in the industry in some way, shape, or form, and get some Twitter boost off of it. Like
exactly,
you turn a negative into a positive. You know,
it wasn't even that big of a deal. It was just kind of like, okay, like because realistically, when you look at the videos, you're like, okay, right, it's a fridge.
I mean, I wish I had. I have a small. I have to have like one of the smallest fridges you can get.
Wow.
It just has a small the cabinet they built. I would have to like redo my cabinets to have.
Oh, okay, I see.
But I think that fridge would look really good in my setup. Other than the green light would kind of
try to win it, yo. Try to win it.
But I don't even think I could get it in the house. I don't even have room to have it in my garage. I have a one stall garage.
If you win it,
can't get it in the house.
You can sell it. If you win it, you can sell it.
I mean, I could get it through the doorway. That's it, in the living room, and then that's where
I don't want to hear that shit. You got a fucking cinnamon in your house. Get out of here.
I was trying to figure out, like,
dude, I could barely get a couch out of the room, like up the stairs, like the hallway. The house was built in 1950. It's not built for.
All you got to do is open the doors, and you can get anything. Open the doors to that fridge, and
I could get it,
or just take it apart to a degree.
If I got it in let's say I got it in the front door into the living room, and then if I move my couch, I could get it into the dining room. But if you saw my dining room, you would I don't even have an open corner. I only have room for a small table with 2 seats.
It's time for a house tour, goddammit.
If they gave you that fridge, you would find a fucking
I could. Honestly, I'd have to sell it.
I bet his cinema room is like the biggest small world in Super Mario 64. No, when you're running towards a big painting and it's like getting bigger and bigger and bigger. I bet that's what his cinema.
Do you deal in meters or feet?
The screen, it gets bigger and bigger.
Do you know meters or feet where you're at?
Meters, because when
they use a metric system, they're normal.
My room is, let's see, 3, 5. It's 5 meters long and it's just over 3 meters wide, and it's just over 2 meters tall. It's really small. It looks big in the photos. But...
I don't believe you.
And then
your screen is 5 meters in width.
The screen is 80 inches wide. So.
I have a living room that I don't even use. So.
But I mean, I would love to have something like that. I just honestly couldn't.
2 living rooms.
I wouldn't even open. I would have to just put it on Facebook or eBay or just try to sell it.
Exactly, though. Imagine how much you could sell that for.
I wonder. It's rare. I mean, it's more valuable as a rarity than it is for them to actually have made it. So anyway, it was interesting. It was cool how they took the meme. I think it's funny. T said plushies of Craig next. That would be something. That would be something.
I would totally buy it. That's something I
would buy a Craig plushie yesterday. That shit is hilarious, boy.
There you go, yo. There's 2 people in this alone that would buy it. Come on, now, Microsoft, get on it, yo.
I guarantee you, a lot more people would buy a Craig plushie.
Exactly, I think so.
What happens if someone won it and they have an apartment, like a 3rd floor apartment?
Again, they sell it, man, and they make a lot of money, and they buy a house off that shit.
I wonder what someone would pay for it. But all right, let's check the questions here, and shit, I keep forgetting Rocky has a question. We got to do homework beforehand.
But before that, let me just share, because we were talking about. I don't want to forget. We're talking about these indie companies doing better than Nintendo for their 35th anniversary Mario collection, or not even collection. What do you call it? Okay, so here's the case. It's a reversible case for War Groove, right? So you got that. Mm-hmm. This is a $25 game, all right? And you have the strategy manual right there, all right?
I want that game.
And you have a map of the world.
Full color?
You get a map of the world there. There you go.
For $25.
And then you have these stickers. You get a whole sticker pack here. And there's also a pin I can't find for some reason. So that's all in this little $25 indie game from...
The manual is pretty big, or it's pretty beefy.
Chucklefish. Yeah, it's a thick enough, it's pretty thick. It's hard to tell probably, but It's a full color manual.
Hmm.
Okay. Oh, wait a minute.
Big as hell.
That's another thing. Full color.
That's that one that's like
Come on,
Advance
yo.
Wars.
Yeah, this is like Advance Wars. This is like the what do they call it?
Spiritual.
Successor to Advance Wars.
It was one of the earliest games shown for
And it's one of the- yeah.
Switch.
Yeah, it's one of the earliest games shown
And it
for it.
had-
I don't even
And
remember.
there you go. So if Nintendo can't do better than that, give me a break.
Well, let's check. We only got a couple questions, then we can talk about the Fire Emblem.
Fuck Nintendo.
Well, that's the first question. With the limited release of the localized Fire Emblem, is Nintendo close to, if not becoming, the most anti-consumer gaming company? I don't think that makes
I
them
don't know
that.
if I'd
But
go that far.
What was that question?
the Fire Emblem, he thinks, makes asking if we think that's Nintendo's becoming the most anti-consumer gaming company out of the big three.
Check it out.
That's big.
I
A
mean,
lot more than that, I think.
technically, it's almost anti-business for them to make it limited too. It's like it's not just like screwing over consumers, because anybody who
I
wants
don't
it.
know if it's anti-business to them. I think they know that they can get a lot more people to buy a thing instead of if it's just sitting there in your eShop. Maybe you won't buy it.
I
But
guess that's
if
possible.
you know it's going to go away,
Limited release makes you more
Yeah,
interested in
that's-
getting it.
right? That's going to make you more interested. So they know they can make more money doing this than they can just
It's
having it sit on the eShop.
watch it be a limited thing, and then a year from now it's on the Nintendo
It
Switch
ends up
Online.
exactly.
I think
Most
uh,
people feel the same thing about the Mario, though. About the Mario collection.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mario, it's going to be on there.
They were going like, oh,
No,
it's
the Mario is going to be on. I think Mario games have a chance to be on the eShop. I don't think they have a chance to be on the Switch Online service.
No. Just
Oh,
No, no,
35?
we're
You meant
just talking about,
35?
like, we're just talking about it being like available to purchase past.
They're going to
the
separate it because they can say, "Oh, see, we weren't lying. The Mario 3D All Stars isn't on there, but you can buy the games individually. So we technically weren't lying."
But I think that's actually
But we have a bunch
better.
of games now that do that. We've had a bunch of games now that do that. You keep hearing people saying like, yeah, but like, they're doing all this shit limited. I mean, at this point, it's like the fucking All Stars collection, Mario 35, Fire Emblem. I thought there were one or two more, and people are like, but they're doing it because have a plan. They're gonna re-release it. I don't care. There shouldn't be a fucking plan. Don't release limited shit you're gonna remove again. It just feels really.
Didn't they just
dirty.
announce
Yeah,
they?
like,
Well, I mean,
do
limited.
that.
That is literally the premise of limited shit, though. Like the idea.
No, but
is,
limited editions is one thing. I'm completely for limited editions. I love that. But when
Yeah.
you're releasing a game limited digitally available, then it becomes a whole new level of bullshit.
Yeah, it's
Nobody releases a game. I don't say something like limited run. That's what they do. But there wouldn't be a physical copy without them.
Yeah.
So that's different. But we're talking about you have limited types of editions. That's fine. A limited edition.
Yeah,
we
like
get
this.
that.
This
But
is.
when you're limiting the actual game, like that's just crazy.
I don't
Like,
understand it, to be honest. I don't understand the strategy in the long term, other than
I don't think there is a long term.
That wasn't because
the
then you
goal.
got my first reaction was, well, it's an NES Fire Emblem game. I didn't realize they made some tweaks to like the speeding up because I don't think that was in the original game where you can speed up the enemy turn.
No.
Mute your shit, man. My first reaction was, why isn't this part of the Nintendo Switch Online? It's an NES game. It finally got localized. They did that with some other games that finally we could play, like Star Fox 2. Finally could play it.
They localized Sin and Punishment. Fucking,
Sin and Punishment, yeah.
which I bought.
So people are like, well, they spent money on it.
It's
They
really
gotta get their money back. They localized this. They spent money on it. Then why is it disappearing? If they're trying to get their money back, then why is it disappearing? Like, I don't.
And that excuse is just hold on. That is just the most bullshit excuse. Nintendo localizes every goddamn game they make. All right? They're a Japanese company. They have to localize every fucking thing anyway. So they're not going to get any extra money for doing what they already do for every goddamn game they make already. Like, give me a break.
And
also,
the
again,
True example that the Jews mentioned, I want to talk about that. That's a really fucking good example because people are like, yeah, but they're localizing it. You know, they're working on translating. They have to do all this shit. They made Star Fox 2, and yeah, it was like on the Super Nintendo Mini, whatever. But they dumped it for fucking free on the online shit. And there's no reason they don't do this. And I don't want to hear, but it's the first time they ever release it. Bitch, like Star Fox 2 wasn't even a game. It didn't fucking exist. And they released it for free. So if you have this game, like Broken mentioned, it has been released in different forms already before that kind of shit. I feel there's just no fucking reason to like make people. Yes, even fucking $6. I don't care how cheap I am. Like, there's just no reason when you have Nintendo Online that serves so little purpose already as it is, to then just not dump it on there like it with Star Fox 2.
It's pathetic excuses. I mean, like where are all these games made in fucking Japan, right? They got to fucking localize every single fucking game that they
exactly.
But at the end of the day, you know, these are established Nintendo games. They've been released before. You know, whether it's Mario 64, Sunshine, Fire Emblem, whatever. These are established Nintendo games. Now, the only difference now with this thing that annoys me with this Fire Emblem, I couldn't give a shit about the original Fire Emblem on the NES. You see some people getting crazy hyped about it. Fuck off. You know, it's old now. You know, there's much better Fire Emblem games now. The thing that annoys me is how they're treating the Switch with their online subscription. So, you know, now in order for us to play our old retro games, they took all that away from us on a virtual console. They said, no, nothing's carried over to the Switch. It's wiping clean. We're going to get you to pay for the subscription instead. Here's some NES games. Here's some SNES games. We'll update or whatever. But then they still got the audacity to sell us individual NES games. Yeah, even though they're cheap, they still got the audacity to sell us these individual NES games, even though we're already paying for NES games, because they're making us pay for this subscription in order to get these games where we can't pick or choose. If we were in a position where we could pick or choose, then that Fire Emblem would fall into that category of, yeah, here's another game, NES game you can decide to pick or choose like it's on the original, but it's not. Their only distribution so far has been through Switch Online. Here's your NES games. We cannot do it any other way. But now they're trying to get us to pay it twice, and that's what fucks me off. And there's another thing as well with the limited edition, is that I know Nintendo have this history more so than anyone else right now, console-wise, in the industry, right? They got this history. But can you imagine if Sony, right, even if you go far back with Sony, and they said, we're releasing the original Crash Bandicoot 1 just by itself. We're going to have a level select in there now. You can speed it up a little bit. Yeah, and you could buy this limited edition just by itself. You'd be like, what the fuck? Who's going to buy a single Crash fucking Bandicoot game by itself? You want jumping Flash? Yeah, we're going to re-release it just by itself in the limited edition. It's like, fuck. Fire Emblem now is so old. I said you could have packaged all of the NES games, all the SNES games. You could have got the GameCube games in there. You could have even thrown the Wii games in there and said, here's your 35-year anniversary. Yeah, £60 if you wanted to, $50, whatever. Here's your limited edition. Then you've got a collection of Fire Emblem games. Then it'd be worth it. But to package it by itself as an individual NES game in 2020, bro, I'm like, yo, come on.
And that was my point. Is like, okay, so now you want me to give you credit for giving a shit about Fire Emblem's 30th or 30 years of Fire Emblem, and your celebration of it is some obscure, most of the world didn't get NES game,
and
that is your celebration of all of Fire Emblem.
I mean, it's a cool looking.
I wouldn't from Nintendo.
Come on.
From like indie companies or third parties. Fine, that's their thing. They can do whatever they want to do, right? To try to sell their individual product. From Nintendo, I wouldn't even accept an individual release of Super Mario World. I wouldn't, you know.
No.
What's the point?
What do you guys think of the collector's edition? For change it to a game that maybe that you would be excited about. I think this is I think it's almost, I would say, a waste personally, but it's a really cool looking collector's edition. Like, you got the big box, you got a booklet, then you have an NES style box, you got the sleeve and a clear cartridge. Is that clear cartridge? Like, yes. But then, I mean, $50, okay, but then it's a digital code for the game.
Yeah, it's a digital code.
Digital code for the game.
And you don't even know. I mean, Nintendo said that their account system's going to carry over the next system, but you don't know that for sure that game's going to go with it. Like, So you got this cool physical thing, and you got this code, one-time use code. It's gonna be stuck on one profile, like your Switch, and it's just
And then you
weird.
have these dipshits that are like defending that. Oh, it's so small. It's like it's a few megabytes in size. There are tons of games on Switch that are 50, 100 megabytes in size that are still on a goddamn cart by an indie company. Yeah. Fuck off with that excuse.
It could be
right off.
They could use a 1 gig cart. I mean,
yeah, they totally could do that.
Throw a soundtrack on there to take up some space. All right, Terrell. Terrell's been quiet. He's a Fire Emblem fan. What's your take?
My head hurts, man.
I was super indifferent, and I didn't. I was like, okay, cool. Like that was my thought process. I just didn't care. I wasn't really annoyed because cool. It's an official release of the first game, limited, which means we're not gonna get after a certain point in time. I was super indifferent. I didn't even go and read the comments. Most people I saw reaction was pretty much the same. Like, well, the remake already exists on the DS. It's like, all right, cool. Like that was the majority of the Fire Emblem fandom's reaction I saw was like, cool. It's not anything crazy. It's not anything.
Well, what about?
It's like that. It's just okay. Cool.
What if this is the only thing they do? Do you feel like that's good for a Fire Emblem 30th anniversary, though, if this is all they do for it?
I don't feel like... I didn't feel... Well, considering they normally don't do anything, it's almost like an abusive relationship at this point. I'm so used to not getting anything. I'm at least like, all right, cool. I'm not fucking excited for it. Like,
so,
they beating you guys into submission, basically.
You don't want to be.
No, I wouldn't even say. Well, beating me into submission would imply that if they didn't do collector's editions for maybe their other games and that kind of shit, it'd be a different story. It's gotten to the point now where like I hate half of the Nintendo community because people hate these games all of a sudden because Fire Emblem all of a sudden gets all this shine, and so like when I see it, I'm like, I already know half of the community is gonna act. Oh, it's more Fire Emblem. Like, eat a dick. Like, fuck you. Like, we didn't get anything to begin with. Fuck you. Like, so I was like, all right, cool. I wasn't really mad that it was the first game. I thought it was cool just because of the history that game has in the fact that it was the first game. I wouldn't have. I'm not tripped. I mean, of course, I would have wanted more games if we're gonna be real with it. But I can say that about any fucking collector's edition. Why did you only give me the first one? Like, I want, if we're being realistic about it, of course I would be sitting there going, I want every game I could possibly get from the franchise for every anniversary. But I know that's not going to happen, so I'm not I wasn't sweating that. Like, I just didn't give a shit. Like, that's the core of it all. I didn't care.
I think we need to, I need to clarify. Go on, Rob.
I was going to say a few things that, the fact that the DS game is a remake, that technically means it's localized, and they probably have majority of that. You probably use a majority of that DS onto the NES one. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure they didn't do a lot of work on terms of that because they already have a technically localization on the DS, and then it doesn't it suck, Terrell, that like you feel that way? Like, how cool would it have been to have been happy and be like, yo, Fire Emblem 30, they're actually doing something really cool. That's really cool. And but it's, like, come on, man. Is it disappointing to be disappointed? You know what I'm saying?
I mean, realistically, my bigger issue would have been just doing more modern games. But I know that Fire Emblem has its own split within its fan base where people are like, "Oh, I prefer the older games anyway." So like,
they could have had all
the best thing you could have done. Well, then, like I said before, the best thing you could have done is have like a giant ass collection. But like, am I bummed out about it? Not particularly. I'm just kind of indifferent.
Sorry, I just wanted to clarify that. It's not a hate against the NES Fire Emblem. It's not it's not a hate against the game coming.
Well, no,
out
I'm not talking about you specifically. I'm talking about just the Fire Emblem fan base.
I know. It's just the time where we are right now, both where we are in the present and also what Nintendo are doing in terms of their current ecosystem, what they've done in the past. Everything that Fire Emblem is whack in terms of this coming out and doing what they're doing with it. It shouldn't be happening. Not from Nintendo, and just not the way that they're doing it. It should not be a thing. They should not be releasing a single NES game by itself to celebrate 30 years of a franchise in 2020, charging you $60 or whatever for a limited edition with a NES game that you can only download. They shouldn't be releasing it, as a cutoff from date from when it's going to be deleted online and all this stuff. It's just factor after factor of everything that surrounds this little release, and it's as broken as, if not, it's as broken as Mario's collection. Although the Mario collection is even more broken.
That's what I wanted to say about the Fire Emblem shit. Like, it's saying, like, I don't mind all the Fire Emblem shit. The Fire Emblem games are great games, and I have played not nearly enough as I would like. Like, my only problem with Fire Emblem kind of stems from too much into Smash, But talking just about this specific issue, is the problem I have with this is, like you said, is that if you're making this cool special edition for the first game, I understand what they're trying to do. The first game, is where it started, blah, 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 give people that shit. Okay, fine, whatever. But you're not giving people the game. You're giving them like a ghost edition, like a super fancy thing with like a digital code, which is a trend that needs to fucking die. Because, like you said, you don't get the game, so you have to download it. But it's like I said, it's because it's not just a game you have to download. It's a fucking NES game. When you have the ecosystem, like what Clocklet says, you have this Nintendo Switch Online thing that is barely kind of a thing, which should be meant for this. Like what I mentioned earlier with Star Fox, this game should either be on the Nintendo Online, or it needs to have an actual fucking physical edition. Because, like T said, all these indie companies, I have a bunch of all these indie companies, these incredible fucking physical releases with shit in it and all that stuff. You can't tell me you're so fucking stingy. You couldn't put this fucking thing on a card, and it just bothers the shit out of me.
Bro, what is it? Tetris 99 has a goddamn cart version. Are you kidding me?
Well, here's the thing,
Tetris
too.
99,
I forgot about that.
Rocket League has a cart. Like, come on.
What happens if you decided to not open this collector's edition and hold on to it, let's say, 5 or 6 years, as a collector? How long is that download code actually going to be able to get you the game? Like, if somebody, let's say they either decided to open it or bought it, and it's like, you lose the value.
You gotta buy two.
For collectors, you lose the value of, like, that actually being a game inside that you'll know 5-6 years from now that you could actually get, like, if you wanted to. Like, if, I don't know, somebody misses out.
A problem with the download codes. I quickly want to say that, sorry. The thing with the download codes, I have 1 or 2 of them that I bought like on sale once in the store, like the Donkey Kong and Minis on like the DS or 3DS or whichever one it was, that only has the download code in it. The problem with those is, even if you don't use it, you don't have it forever. There's a date attached to it before you can use it. And if you don't use it, you literally have an empty box with that paper in it.
I mean, but that is a tiny, tiny minority of people who would worry about that. Kind of like Wii U owners. They don't give a shit about us either. So then definitely not going to care about that.
I will say that's probably the only thing I am bummed about. I think as far as the actual collector, the fact that it's not on a cart, I feel like that would have kind of like it feels like you went like
that would have mitigated some of the.
I wouldn't have realistically. I don't, and it's kind of I was kind of the same lines of retro. I don't really care that it's just one game and then it's the first game. That doesn't bother me to that extent because you're celebrating the fucking the game to start off. Of course, a giant collection wouldn't be hated either. But I'm saying is, I wouldn't have been mad at you doing a remake of doing a kind of the special release of the first game. But the fact that it's not on the cart is probably the only like. It's like 90% of the way there for me, and you didn't put it on the cart, and I'm like, come on, yo. Yeah.
You're Nintendo.
You would hell, it has the fucking Nintendo Power shit with it, like a fucking what is it, like a poster? And I'm like, you went like all the fuck way into this bitch, and then got to the finish line and said, "Nah, I'm good." And I'm like, bro, what?
Well, that's the other part of this.
Fucking there.
And you wouldn't put in a cart.
I think the cart's the only thing
as much as a CD costs. a 1 gigabyte cart costs the same much as a damn CD costs.
You were so
So
that's the
it's
only
not
thing
like
I
some
find about
crazy
that.
price.
But then we
What
can.
this means though is that the 35th anniversary will get the second Japan only game, and then we're gonna get that translated, and then again 40th and so on and so on.
Well, the
I
other
just want
part.
to say, here's a couple of Nintendo games that got. I mean, every game that Nintendo makes gets a translation. Okay, like except for the ones that obviously don't come out here all the time. Not every game comes out in the West or whatever, but every game they make, from Mario, all that stuff is translated from Japanese because the Japanese guys are making them. So they shouldn't get any extra for doing what they normally do for every goddamn game.
My favorite part of all of this, and it's so mean, but it's like all the Mother 3 salt that's being spilled over all the-
Mother 3.
The fucking Mother 3.
Well, what about
Nintendo?
the point that they got this awesome NES looking case and all that. So they did it for Fire Emblem. They did a video. It's coming out December 4th. Making kind of a big deal out of it. But doesn't that make the Mario one even worse? That they couldn't. Not that I wanted to spend $100 and get a nice collector's edition, but that Fire Emblem one looks awesome. Like if I was a fan of Fire Emblem, I'd probably, if it came with the physical version, I think I'd be all for that. So why couldn't Mario have gotten, like, put it in an N64 box or something, like T had the Super NES box. Do something, put it in a big box like this, and then have like a hard case that looks like an N64 box or something that you can keep it in. That has a manual, that has the music on it. Like, you could do it for Fire Emblem for one game, but you can't do it for
Xenoblade Chronicles X.
You can't do it for 3.
Limited run.
Yeah,
does that every goddamn week.
So it's like, why Fire Emblem and why not Mario get this type of treatment?
I think for most people, I think if Nintendo do this again, let's just say they do it with the original Zelda, right? Let's celebrate Zelda's anniversary. We're going to release the original NES game, just like we're doing with Fire Emblem, and then they give you this kick-ass
gold cartridge
set, and all that stuff. I think in your mind, if you are going to buy it, you're not buying it for the game.
No, that's true.
Just buy it for the goods. Buy for the limited.
Well, I mean, to me, that's always half of the reason why.
But what if
that's
well, here's the thing. I was one of those people that were like, "Oh, that looks pretty cool." I'm a little annoyed there's only one game, but it's a nice package, whatever. I think I'll get it. Then they said no cart, and I said no buy. Fuck you. I'm like, no way. So I was almost there. You almost had me, and that one thing.
I also slightly disagree with Terrell, where at least for myself, I don't buy limited editions for the sake of limited editions. I'm buying it for the game. If the game comes with a limited edition, I'm excited about the game, then I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna get this full package because I want the extra stuff. But I'm always buying the game first. Doesn't matter what it is. I'm always buying the game first. Even for Link's Awakening, I was like, fuck, I'm getting Link's Awakening no matter what. Holy shit, they're doing a limited edition as well. I want that shit.
Right, exactly.
I'm getting Xenoblade 2. Holy shit, they're doing a limited edition as well. I'm getting that big ass box. I fucking love that. I'm getting it.
Yeah, this limited shit comes out every week. I don't care. It's about the game that is.
Yeah, I'm sure there's people.
I'm saying specifically the limited edition version. Like, you can buy the game without buying the limited edition version. The issue in this situation is why specifically get the limited edition version when usually it costs more. Well, you're getting it because of what is included in the limited edition version. Otherwise, you would just buy the fucking game.
Well, that's what I wanted to say. Yeah, like Clock's argument makes no sense to me because, like, if there's a normal version and a super version, and you're like, well, the game's coming out,
you don't have to
buy
get
the super version. You're buying it for the shit because if you didn't,
care
about
but what he's saying is he's not gonna.
Limited edition, you're buying it for the shit.
Yeah, but he's saying he's gonna buy it and play the game. He's not gonna buy it and leave it sealed on a box or sealed on the shelf.
I feel like those are two different arguments.
I think he missed what he was coming.
I'm saying if there was no limited edition for the game, then I'm still going to buy the game. Right?
Yeah.
If there is a limited edition and it's a game I'm excited about, then I'm going to get the limited edition version of it.
You're gonna
I know there's going to be some extra cool stuff in there. What I'm saying, in the case where we talk with Fire Emblem, when we talk about a NES game, right? I don't give a shit about that NES game anymore. That's me now. I can't go out and buy a NES game from Nintendo Now, I need to say this as well. This is from Nintendo. I can't go out and buy an individual physical NES game from Nintendo anymore.
Yeah.
It's
I
sneaky
can't-
that
Especially
you
when you have
created a little loophole in your little story because you know very well I was going to mention the flashback edition now.
But,
Yeah, but
especially,
Flashback is what? Sorry, 2 seconds, because Flashback is
Go
what I
ahead.
mentioned earlier. This is not Nintendo. This is an individual
And
company.
that's why you created that loophole by adding from Nintendo. It makes no sense.
Yeah, but this is the difference though with Nintendo. It does make sense because Nintendo are in a completely different position from these other companies. They are in a completely different. They have this vast library of games that they have sold to us over and over and over again. They have digital copy after digital copy. They have physical copy after physical copy. They don't need to sell you the original Fire Emblem on the NES, right, to beef up their portfolio and make money anymore. They don't need to do that. They're just doing it because they know we're fucking suckers and we'll buy every goddamn piece of shit that they fucking throw at us. That's why.
And by the way, you have Nintendo Switch Online service that gives NES games out just for the service, just for being on the service.
And we're already paying for that.
This is even too good for those guys. This is even too good for you who already paid for NES and Super Nintendo games. You have to pay separately for this specific NES game. Why? Fuck you.
Makes no fucking sense.
It's just a weird. It just feels like they wanted something for December, and
realistically, Brian was not that
I
game.
can say that yeah, it's not that game.
I don't even think that's the case. I think it was. Like I said, my only real issue with the whole edition was the fact that it was I don't really have an issue. For God's sake, people went back and bought a fucking mini Nintendo, Super Nintendo system purely for the novelty of it all. Because you own those fucking games. You probably own those games multiple times. But it was the novelty of it being on a miniature console that, for all intents and purposes, probably sits in your room as a collector's edition or was played maybe when you first got it and just set like. But see, in that case, that's retro shit. Like limited, like when you look at limited editions for modern games and old games, to me, those are two different things because limited editions for old games are usually games you've already played. Like at that point, you're buying it for the nostalgia and the shit that comes with the game. You're not really buying it for the game. That was my original argument. Not that every limited edition, if it's a game you're excited about.
Did we get for the same price as Fire Emblem? Did we get a big ass compilation of games and a cool fucking console
that allows you to play it?
And that was before
on your modern TV.
And that was before the Nintendo Switch Online, the NES Classic and Super NES was before the Super NES games were on there. So I think
that's the only difference. That's the only difference, Terrell. It's the actual it's the product and the package itself, and that's different with this single NES game.
Great package.
That's only
it's a great package.
Because how many NES games were on it?
Just buying an art book of the original Fire Emblem.
You got 30 games and 2 controllers. You have HDMI. Like you have, what do they call that? We can rewind. You got all this shit. It's not just. I wouldn't buy a fucking.
But I wouldn't buy a car. I'm not saying that it wasn't a good deal. My argument is it's still a novelty. Like at the end of the day, it was like it's still, especially for a lot of people who bought it are people who literally have played probably at least a good chunk of those games over decades ago. Like in all honesty, it's a novelty. That's really what it boils down to. Like it's a cool little thing.
But
it's a nice. Go ahead.
I think if Nintendo saw it as a novelty, you wouldn't have all those great lineup of games also from like third party companies. Like I think they made an incentive to have a good selection of games and not like like with the whole. That's why the PS1 thing.
And it actually has
like that. Like it's that's why like again I played Earthbound on the Super. I have the Super Nintendo still plugged in, the MIDI plugged in. But that's where I played Earthbound, and that was this year. That was a few months ago. So for me, I use it, and it's like and I think if Earthbound wasn't on it, if all these other games weren't on it, I wouldn't have buy it unless it was cheaper and it was just a stagnant little box. And that was cheaper. But I think the fact that they picked those games specifically to have a solid lineup to sell the console itself.
Well, yeah,
My
of course,
reasoning
they
were-
still want to make money off it, but
Yeah.
I feel like it's turned into a comparison. I feel like that's not the fair thing to do in that situation,
yeah.
because you're comparing a special edition version of the first game
Compared to a whole console.
compared to like a whole miniature console that's representing the console, not even like that generation of gaming. That's what the mini.
The point was that that represents the console, and you're getting the console, and the other represents the game, but you're not getting the game. I just wanted to quickly add to that. Like, I did not buy the NES Mini. I didn't want to spend the $100 on it. Like you said, I played. I think it was out of the 30 games I own, like 25 or 26 of them and shit, and I paid like 28 of them. But I bought the Super Nintendo Mini, which I have still hooked up because it just looks fucking sweet, the tiny ass little thing under my GameCube and shit. But the difference with the Super Nintendo Mini, maybe it's a different argument, I don't know, but the Super Nintendo Mini came with at least like 5 games that are like worth over $100 fucking bucks right now, one of which was never even released.
Yeah, that is true.
That wasn't just a novelty item. That was like a lot of fucking really rare games, and that was on the way to play them for
and
like
Star Fox
less
2.
than $100.
New game.
There were games on there that you couldn't get on the virtual console. Yeah,
And by the way,
I didn't own some of them.
But that was a problem in its own right. That was the problem in its own right. The fact that you couldn't get those games on virtual console. Why is it that you can put them in a novelty item, but you couldn't put them in a celebration of a systems? I guess is a better way of describing it. That's what it really is. How is it you can put in that, but you couldn't put it on your online store for people to buy? Like there were problems in that in its own right. Not because it was like why. Now, granted, we did get some of those things later. Like we did get Star Fox 2 on the online service later.
That actually kind of pissed me off a little bit.
How many people though?
That came to Switch Online. You know, the fuckers.
That's why I said that it's stupid that this game is released like that.
So just hearing that, I'm wondering if the reason they didn't continue Virtual Console, other than the fact that they made it in a way that it was like they had to do extra work to make the Wii U versions work. Like it wasn't just put it on the Wii U, you know. I wonder if it was like, well, we're gonna have to do more work. We can't just bring over their collection simply. So either we ask them to rebuy these games, or we just don't do the Virtual Console anymore. I wonder if that was part of their decision making.
I just reckon the difference is holding the license. Basically, to sell those games. That's the biggest difference.
I mean, they gave a lot of those games. A lot of the. I mean, it's not like there's a ton of games on the online service, but a lot of those games from the mini systems are on there now.
Yeah. They don't like the idea of you having those games for decades. They want you to rebuy that license.
Yeah.
You know, that's what it boils down to.
Yeah. I see a lot of people that just say that, oh, well, it's only $6. Only $6. It's not even about the $6, dude. It's about the fact that the principle, dude. That shit should have been on.
Shouldn't be $6.
It should be on the online. And to me, I've always said that I personally, you know, I would rather them have the Virtual Console. You know, like have it where, you know, at least a choice that you can have the Switch Online, but then you could also technically purchase individual games. I wouldn't mind that. Like let's say you didn't want to have the online and you just wanted to buy one game, you know, I think there should be an option for that. But
here's the thing: Nintendo's making what's that the Game & Watch, right? And it has Super Mario Brothers on it. Like, come on, are we really gonna buy Super Mario Brothers again? No, people aren't buying it for that game. That specifically, people aren't buying for they like the idea of having that Game & Watch. And having that as a collector item. So the difference is if this Fire Emblem game would have came out and it would have been on a standalone type of thing, like a Game & Watch or something like that. Like that would have been, to me, that's different than what they're doing, which is basically, you know, they have a service to where they can give you that game, and they've given you a bunch of games already, and so there's nothing really special about this outside of the little trinkets and whatnot.
And I think that's why it's not on Nintendo. Like I said, I don't know.
Well, the irony is that it is. I think Well, I don't know that version. I think Fire Emblem is already on the online service. It's just only in Japan, if I remember correctly.
In Japan,
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
only in Japan.
Well, when I said they needed something to sell in November, I just meant an item. Like, not saying this thing's gonna be huge. I don't know how many versions or how many units they're gonna actually manufacture, but to actually have a physical thing to push in December, and whether it was Fire Emblem or anything, I think that's the case, and that's the reason that's not on the Nintendo Switch Online is because they probably, and this is me speculating, they wanted to have some kind of item for December because they have November covered, they have October with Mario Kart, and you have the Game & Watch thing. Well, let's have something in December, a physical thing people can buy. Well, here's the game. Well, we can't put it on the Nintendo Switch Online because then why would you buy the collector's limited edition thing if it was part of the Nintendo Switch Online? So I feel like they just really wanted to have something to push in December.
I understand where you're coming from with that because Nintendo does like having a physical something to release before Christmas. But the problem is we're talking about Fire Emblem.
Yeah.
We're not talking about the most popular, populist thing they could be selling as they could have, if anything, you would have put Mario Kart off into December, Mario Kart Live. That would have been a December item that made more sense for the argument you're making, not Fire Emblem, the obscure Fire Emblem game from the NES.
I think Fire Emblem has gotten a lot more popular, but the problem is that those people with whom it has become popular, they just don't give a shit about the retro stuff.
Yeah, those are Fire Emblem Awakening fans. That's who.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, like there's different. That's why I said there's a split in that fan base. Like
right.
The old school fans who will tell you that Echoes was a good game, they're fucking lying. That's me not giving a fourth of a fuck. No, but yeah, there's a split. No, well, I have my issues with that remake, and I'm not gonna get into it right now. But the point I'm making is that there's a modern fan. It essentially suffered. In some ways, I can't really think of another Nintendo friend. Actually, I think Sonic kind of suffers a similar situation. Sonic suffers a where people prefer the 2D games over the 3D games. Hell, even Mario kind of still has that split where people will play the fuck out of old 2D Mario, and some people completely dropped off when 3D Mario hit. But the difference is with Fire Emblem, it's literally modern anime-ish Fire Emblem versus like old school, like traditional tactics Fire Emblem. And a lot of the tactics Fire Emblem fans like this, but they also recognize it's the first game, which a lot of people openly acknowledge as being not great compared to the other ones that came. It's kind of like, why would you ever play Final Fantasy 1 when the other ones are so much better? When people talk about classic Final Fantasy, you know which one they recommend? Play 6. Why? 6 is like that's the
Final Fantasy.
Like that. And so that's what you do. So like it's to me, it's like, okay, you're going for pure novelty with this shit. Because no one some people might play it just out of curiosity because it's the first game and why the fuck not? And people like it. And the other issue is that people just buy new shit. People might have an interest in something when they hear a new version of it's coming out. Oh, I'll just wait for that. Well, why don't you pick it on the other thing? Go ahead.
Who's in Path of Radiance? Who's the
Ike?
Yeah.
What? Give us that.
No. T, I completely agree with that, and for only one reason, because they fucked up the Wii game, if I remember correctly. Where
the Wii game Dawn,
the hard mode situation where the game's default difficulty in the American version was hard, but it was labeled as normal. So a lot of people play that game, got their asses handed to them.
Me.
Yeah. I forget if that was a localization issue or what. But yeah, the Wii game's normal mode is the hard mode in the Japanese version.
Yeah.
So the way
hard mode then? What's the hard mode? Normal?
It's like insane difficulty or some shit.
Insane,
Fire Emblem has like 4 difficulty settings. So that kind of fucked a lot. It fucked that game inherently because if you bought it and you played it, you're like, normal is hard as fuck. I hate this game. And people would stop playing it. Fire Emblem was way more.
I stopped playing it for a good while. I just went back. I went back to it eventually.
It's just a travesty.
What do you guys?
But I agree. Those games I feel like should have gotten re-releases purely because, like, man,
they're expensive as hell to buy right now.
Well, Fire Emblem in general, a lot of old school Fire Emblem games are expensive.
Yeah.
All right, what do you guys?
Give me Roy's game. I feel like that one would have been more prevalent to me. The fact that the second Fire Emblem character in Smash Brothers, his own game isn't even out in the States. That's right. That to me is more offensive. Like, oh, you don't know who Marth is? You don't know who the fuck Roy is? You wanna know why? Because his game isn't in fucking English. That's why. His game still isn't in English.
So what do you guys think is the?
It said they gave you the game that's already in English.
It tripped me out that it took until Smash before they gave Marth an English voice. What the fuck? Like.
All right, here's a trivia question. What is the oldest Fire Emblem game that I've played?
The oldest? Probably Awakening.
I would think it'd be Awakening.
For you? Are you asking for you?
Yeah.
Wii game. If you played a Wii game, I'd be.
No, he played. I
don't think he's ever played a Fire Emblem game.
He played Awakening. He talked about playing Awakening.
I would say that's your guesses. Awakening. That's it.
Fire Emblem. Only thought. I've never heard you talk about any other Fire Emblem.
Fire Emblem: The Sacred Stones is the other one.
Oh, the GBA game.
It's part of the 3DS Ambassador Program.
Yeah.
I didn't even. Really good game. You never talked about even touching that game.
I mean, I played it for an hour and then I was done.
Oh, that's why. Well, that would be why.
Oh, okay.
That would be
Sacred Stone is a bad Fire Emblem game. Is the first thing that came up on YouTube when I searched for.
Say what?
Yeah, but
was it a bad game?
Everyone has
what, the Sacred Stone?
Mm-hmm. I wasn't feeling it.
You can make the argument for it.
I rinsed Sacred Stones. I think I've completed it 3 times, and I fucking love Sacred Stones.
Okay. Nice. Man, my OBS just disconnected.
I'll go upstairs to get mine. Okay.
Let me know in the chat. Let me know. Oh yeah, we just lost it. Just got back. Did we just cut out for those of you in the chat?
Oh crap!
Because it's OBS had to restart.
It says disconnect. A reconnection successful.
What the hell?
Yeah, because that popped up on my screen.
So I'll show this again because this is a collector's item.
I wish I had that game. I could have sold it.
$250.
That shit looks pristine.
The minimum. Oh, it is gorgeous. This is one of my.
So I haven't given
I want to go and get mine, but it's too late.
I mean, look at that. Look at that. That manual is clean too. Boy.
It looks like one of mine. I haven't updated the audience with my current. My GameCube collection got smaller last week.
Just get rid of it all.
I have what, 3 or 4 sports games, and then Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 4, Resident Evil Remake, Burnout 2, and Star Wars Rogue Leader, and then 3 sports games. I have 7 GameCube games left. I have 1 controller left, and I don't have the exact total, between $600 and $700 in my pocket, thanks to GameCube. But I'm at the point now where it's like I have my game collection so minimal and pathetic. Like, why do I even hang on to the system itself at this point? It's like, but I haven't even thought about listing it or looked into.
What color is it?
It's black. It's launch day 1.
Ooh, I like the purple one.
See, I was trying to remember what were the 2 launch day colors. It was black and purple.
But somebody told me the guy who bought my 2 original controllers, he told me the Wii U Smash Brothers controllers go for like $50 to $80. Maybe
really?
New ones.
Why though?
Because of the longer cord, and because
they're true. They are longer cords.
It's. I guess you can replace the thumbsticks pretty easily. This guy says he does it in 5 minutes.
Well, I guess it's also like, it's fresh new parts.
But the buttons, everything are solid. Maybe they just figure it's more than, if it's a lightly used controller, it's gonna be, like mine's like new. I only let my buddies play it a few times during the Smash nights. I never even played it myself.
It's a reprint of a controller that kind of.
But it's just curious. But it's like Nintendo keeps producing them, because didn't they reproduce them for the Ultimate Smash Ultimate?
Yeah,
the
GameCube controller I think has like the longest life cycle of any Nintendo controller.
Any controller, period.
Any controller, period. Yeah,
unless you count the DualShock, which had lasted till the PS3. Slightly different, but still very same shape.
Yeah, they've been using the GameCube since fucking the early 2000s.
2001.
2001?
19 years. Still selling them new, but
Motherfuckers love
so
it.
yeah, I finally got rid of.
Mario
It's a great
Sunshine
controller,
doesn't work with that.
I mean, I like a lot about it, but then there's a few things
I
that.
think it's small. That's the only thing.
Yeah, it's really the grips are very. I wish they just extended a little bit more.
You wish they stuck with the original grips because they were longer on the prototype.
Yeah.
That was the first thing I did when I grabbed the new one. When I grabbed the one for Wii U, I was like, I remember these being longer, and I couldn't figure out why. If maybe I thought I misremembered it. I didn't realize that the first releases of them were longer. That's crazy.
It was super. Like those triggers are so fucking comfortable. They're just. But
that's the only Nintendo console that has analog triggers.
But
right?
that damn D-pad, goddamn, that Z button, oh god, that is.
My finger hurts just thinking about holding it down or pressing it. It was just such a half. Like, I don't know if they just threw that on at the last second. I don't know the history of it, or if that was there from the beginning. But it's just so weird how it feels nothing like any of the other buttons on the controller. It's just. Mm-hmm. It just put one on the other side, and it would have solved a lot of the third-party issues with games where they had to come up with weird control options. Like SSX I forget what he had to do the other set of tricks, and it was because the PlayStation used both the bumpers for something. But
it's actually why I started buying some Xbox versions instead of GameCube, because I'm like. I feel like some game's going to use the left bumper, and they're going to try to use the control scheme.
And you'll be able to play it on a Series X if you get one someday.
Well,
possibly.
Yeah, for sure.
I've never really adjusted to the Xbox controller. I don't know why. I just never.
Dude, I love the
Xbox One controller is phenomenal.
Part is because I didn't grow up with it. The other part is because I have.
Because you don't use it enough.
Yeah.
That's probably one reason why.
Have you ever owned one?
I like this one.
The only time I only recently messed with it when my sister bought an Xbox One S. That was like that's the most Xbox has been.
I mean, there's not really anything to get used to unless you're looking at the screen for a lettered button and you're like, oh, B button, and then you hit the wrong. If you're used to Nintendo, you're gonna.
Reminds me of that Angry Joe. What do you call it? His review of Breath of the Wild. He was complaining about
the button
B and A. B.
Yeah.
I'm like, why don't they just do like Sony and Microsoft? Like, excuse me, asshole. They were first. Okay, so if anything, you didn't ask Sony and Microsoft to switch.
Well, Microsoft or Sony. He specifically
reviewing Nintendo games.
He specifically said Xbox because Sony's X button is the main button.
Yeah, he's talking about Xbox. Yeah. He's talking about.
So
Xbox.
It's like, it's just if. The nice thing, what game is it? I think a lot of was it Breath of the Wild? It doesn't just show you the letter; it shows you the button in position in the position it is on the controller. When I was playing,
and he talked about that too.
Yeah, I was playing Breath of the Wild.
What are you complaining about?
Yeah, on PC I was playing it with first the Xbox, but then the PlayStation controller, and then I didn't even have to think twice about it because it just shows.
You don't got to look down.
The little icon that shows the button where it's at on the. It's brilliant, actual.
The only problem
tutorial.
I had with Breath of the Wild is that you couldn't.
Why are we doing this?
In the beginning, you always had to like run, and then you had to run, and you couldn't run and jump in the game. So you had to like run.
Yeah,
and
I agree with that.
That was awful.
That's a weird.
But, like, that's not the controller problem.
That's a weird because is it the A button that puts your shit away, like put your sword away? It's like you could have made that X and had the run button or jump button be A, and then B is your run, and you could have easily ran and jump. I just don't think they thought people would want to run and jump, but I just put my thumb on it and I use my pointer finger to hit the jump button.
That's what I do too, and it feels stupid every time I do it.
That's honestly
it's remap now, right? On the Switch,
yeah, but then it switches it for everything. It switches. It remaps it for every function of the Switch and every function of the game.
You can have presets though and just switch it back on.
You can, but then I mean, if you switch A and X around, then you have to get around the Wii U, Switch menu, fucking Wii U. You just have to. It's just weird that it should just work only in the game. You should be able to say, all right, Breath of the Wild, this is the button mapping I want. Once I'm at the menu, then I want it to go back. Like that would have been taking it to the level where I think it would have been useful. But that's just
You were right when you said Wii U.
Wii U Deluxe.
Wii U Deluxe.
So this question here, we're going to talk in the coming months, early next year. We'll definitely get into this more. But Malik asked, with games like Bayonetta 3, No More Heroes 3, Bravely Default 2, Monster Hunter, 2 Monster Hunters, he only listed one, Breath of the Wild 2, and others we don't know about, all likely coming out next year, can Switch 2021 rival Switch 2017?
I think Juice has no faith whatsoever.
I think Breath of the Wild 2 is guaranteed to come out next year. But
has to, right?
I mean, Bayonetta 3 would be awesome.
I don't know if we can say that, but could it be the best year? People want that shit. These are strange times. We didn't know what's happening. We didn't know how long whatever's happening is happening when it comes to game releases and shit. It's like because Nintendo for like the rest of the year, they wanted shit to pull out. So we got like a radio control car and like no NES game in a box, so I don't know how it's gonna go next year. I don't expect all of those games to be here next year. Yeah, I would want to. And because I was the one who said I could even see Breath of the Wild 2 come this year. I doubt it at this point, but I don't know, man. I'm just more
at this point. What do you mean?
Because now we're like 2 months before the year is
over.
Oh,
you don't have to throw at this point. You just say it ain't coming. That shit ain't coming.
Hyrule Warriors.
Yeah, I think Hyrule Warriors was this year's all along, and then Breath of the Wild 2 by itself makes it the best year since 2017 for me. But,
makes sense for 35th anniversary.
But the rest of the games on that list don't add it.
I fuck with 2019.
The rest of 2019 had some good games, but
2019 is fucking nice, but
I don't like the rest of this. I mean, unless Bayonetta 3 is as good as Bayonetta 2, I mean, I still don't think it's better than 2017 with Breath of the Wild, Mario Odyssey, ARMS being a new IP, and some of the Splatoon 2, which I had fun with in the beginning, Xenoblade Chronicles 2. I just don't know. This list that he listed needs another Nintendo game, another high quality Nintendo game.
Surprise us with Monolith Soft's Monolith Soft's action adventure RPG game.
Yeah.
Then we might be talking something. That would be great if that shows up.
Exciting.
I'm excited to see what that.
It would be a very adventure-filled year if that's the case. Monster Hunter with the Wild, Xeno, whatever they're gonna call it, Bayonetta. I mean, that'd be pretty.
I mean, that'd be a solid year.
And it'd be a great year. That'd be an insane year, actually.
Don't forget it.
You got to remember that 2017 was also boosted up with the fact that we got new Switch or new Nintendo hardware. I mean, that was also added to the excitement as well, and it was great hardware, and it was like, oh, this is Nintendo's back, yo. They got it. So it's gonna be hard to duplicate that kind of feeling, but I think with the games, they could totally have a release schedule that rivals 2017.
And I got distracted by this tweet. Sorry.
Wasn't the Fire Emblem Warriors also 2017?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I felt like one or two of those games actually should have waited. They should have held for 2018. But
which games?
Just
I think most people said about Xenoblade 2 because Xenoblade 2 was the last game. It was like December 4th, if I remember.
And Fire Emblem Warriors came out a week before Odyssey. It just never had a chance.
Fire Emblem fucked itself because I was like, man, why did you put it out close?
I mean, plus it's funny because they squeezed all that out. Plus they put Pokken Tournament in there between those games.
Yeah.
What the fuck? Like it was just they really went overboard there.
Well, I mean, realistically, when you fuck up that bad on your previous console, it's like, man, I need to.
But 2018 definitely could have used some of those.
Pokken could have been 2018.
Well, then that would have been 5 Wii U ports in 1 year.
I was gonna say that's what we needed. Another Wii U.
Never mind.
Fire Emblem Warriors instead of Hyrule Warriors probably would have been a better switch out. But I don't know. I hope I'm not to the point where I'm hoping that they have another bad year. Obviously, I want to have games that are great that I want to play and buy. Like Breath of the Wild 2, like I said, before Age of Calamity got announced, because it had been since October 31st, 2019. I was like, the next game I buy that for the Switch might be Breath of the Wild 2 or Bayonetta 3. But now Age of Calamity. And technically, I bought 3D All-Stars, even though I sold one copy for a profit, and I'm holding on to the other one to maybe try to squeak out a profit on that, or I might just sell it for what I bought it for and be done with it. I haven't decided, because they're still plentiful.
You picked that one up.
They're still plentiful in the stores. They're there every time. Every time I go, so I'm like, well, at least I bought it at Walmart for $50.
Yeah, I recently saw sales numbers for it, by the way.
Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah, those sales are crazy. Those sales are
pretty.
crazy.
It was pretty fucking ridiculous. I think it broke a record if I remember correctly. Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, really?
yeah.
Was
Let me
it-
grab it.
I wouldn't be surprised if it sold like 3 million in a week.
It was like the
Oh,
highest.
Hey,
I'll pull
Dude, I
it up.
think it did.
Give me a second. I'll pull it up.
But
that means only greater things to come.
yeah. So I'm thinking wait till right before the holidays, try to list it, and then the second option will be wait till after it's no longer in stores, till they do, if they really pull it, and then wait till holiday next year and see if I can't. But at the same time, I'm like, I just want to be done with. I just want this thing out of my house, and I made $13. I made $13 on the first copy. If I make even $2, then I made $15 off of Nintendo. You know, like,
Whoever that person is mad.
I'm glad I didn't buy them for $60 a piece, though. I'm glad I
Here we
didn't pay.
go. Let's see. This is actually one of the weirdest. So the way it starts is Super Mario 3D All Stars reportedly sold almost 2 million just digital in September. The biggest digital Mario launch on Switch is the way they described it initially.
More than
And then-
Odyssey. Come on.
Yeah. Well, I understood why people had like everyone's played every Mario game. That's not close. It's Mario. There's a lot of people
Watch this.
who only play it.
Watch this outsell Odyssey, the 3D.
Why are you gonna play them this way?
Although, Robert, compared to
because
Odyssey,
it was
remember, Odyssey came
convenient.
out like when there were like what 5-10
Oh,
million
here it is.
Switches out there.
Yeah,
Here-
yes.
Also, here's the other one. It's the sixth biggest launch month physical dollar sales of any Nintendo published title in U.S. history. That's the way they describe
That's
it.
that's a Microsoft wording there. What the hell does that mean?
That's some weird. Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, the way they describe it is that it's the sixth biggest launch month physical dollar sales.
That makes no sense. Let me throw another.
No sense.
Let me.
That's,
I just want to steer this for the last few minutes. We never talked about this, and I wanted to get your guys' take. So Xbox is, they don't have a new launch title. They don't have a new big game for launch. So they're putting out factually correct statement, but I hate it. Xbox Series X, the largest launch library for a new console in history.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's because wording for the last 7 years. It feels like.
But it's not wrong because of the backwards compatibility, Game Pass, and all the cross-gen titles that are going to be there at launch.
but remember, the greatest games launch lineup for Xbox in Xbox history, whatever that. shit was.
It was the greatest lineup in a year.
The greatest launch lineup in 1 year in Xbox history. Oh shit!
Was it like Gears 4?
You did it.
But I mean, I know they're doing it the way they worded it, not mentioning all the old games. If you just read it and you didn't know any better, oh man, they're gonna have a huge lineup of games. You would think there are new games, or they just worded it in a way where it's trying to make it sound better than it is, even though it's not lying, because technically no system's ever launched with this many games playable on it at day one. But I still don't.
Lies.
I still don't like it, and I just thought it was funny.
I'm maybe different when it
I've always hated that. They've been doing that. It's
Like
like, oh
corporate
look,
speak.
guys, we're gonna put out a bunch of exclusives for E3, and it's like world premiere exclusive, and it's like a fucking cross-gen title, or a cross console, like it's Microsoft and PC, and I'm just like, fuck you, like.
I don't
It's
know if
like-
I'm different when it comes to that kind of stuff, but I don't care what anybody's reasoning is. Virtual console shit, backwards compatibility, it does not, in my eyes, count for a lineup. Give me
Well, he
new
said
games.
launch
No.
Worst
library.
case, cross-gen
No.
games, I don't care.
It counts for a
But I don't
library
count
though.
that.
Yeah, they didn't say launch lineup. They said launch or launch library.
Launch
I
library.
don't.
That's
It's dumb.
you
No,
know what you should
no.
do? People, take your girl to the side. Say, "Hey, girl, you know what? You're the most beautiful, best girlfriend I've ever had on the February and February a week of at 5 p.m. in my entire life, girl. Like
That's basically what it is.
that's the kind of shit that they're saying right there. You gave me the best nut I ever had on a Tuesday afternoon.
That's like
at 5:30. Come on.
That's like I have one niece, and I was like, you're definitely my favorite niece. I'm your only niece. Now she's smart enough.
That's the type of shit.
Terrible way of wording shit, and it just makes me angry.
But it's like
they do it. They do it to make themselves look good. Like, guys, you can't fact check me on this. I'm like, bitch. It's like, yeah, you're right, but I don't give a fuck because it makes me angry. Like, I hate you.
I mean, to be fair, to give them to give them some credit, they do deserve to pimp this because no one else is doing it. You can't get that backup library with Nintendo. You can't get it with Sony. That's their selling point. Game Pass.
Oh no, the value is there. I love the value.
They deserve to sell it.
She's like, stop this dumb shit. Like, just.
But you can sell it with that bullshit though. You can sell it. Like, and I'm a fan of it. Like, that's why I'm buying an X. That's why I'm buying a Series X because of that. That's one of the biggest selling points for me. So
you guys always remember.
Don't lie to me with that kind of stuff.
Like, you guys always remember everything. Did the Wii launch with its virtual console?
Yeah, but it wasn't that robust.
It wasn't that robust in the beginning.
Good, but I mean, the Wii also had the Wii and the GameCube good in there and stuff. Like,
that was my first.
Shit with it.
Someone pointed out the GameCube had 600 games in its lifetime in its library, and then the Virtual Console had less than 100 games. So, and the Xbox One the Xbox One has 1,000 games automatically. So just being backwards compatible with Xbox One, it beat the Wii.
Yeah. It more angered me that backwards compatibility only became relevant to me, at least to the public. It seems like when the Xbox did it, when the Xbox One did it, because I was sitting there with the Wii U and we were like, what about y'all not gonna mention the back catalog of the Wii games that we could play on the Wii U? Nah, it doesn't fucking matter. It's when the Xbox does is when it's fucking relevant to the conversation.
I think people liked it. Going back to, I think that's what people got so excited about when it came to basically you're gonna have all your library in one place, kind of. But that was the excitement for that. But I love the DS for doing that. With my Game Boy Advance stuff, it would have been probably a harder sell for me to get a DS launch day anyway without that without the Game Boy Advance. That added value right away to it. PlayStation 2. Your entire PlayStation library is coming with you. That's a big selling point, I think. And people just, people went away from caring about that stuff. Apparently, when people stopped doing it.
Well, that was my thing.
My argument.
I'm because my issue was more so that it took until the Xbox One was backwards compatibility to when all of a sudden everyone to look at Sony, but you weren't looking at Xbox or Sony when the Wii U came out the gate with it. And hell, Xbox, I think it wasn't even every game.
Yeah, they didn't give a shit.
But if Nintendo would have been the Wii U come out, and because it's backwards compatible with the Wii, our largest launch lineup in the history of Nintendo consoles, and was promoting it that. I think they would have. People would have.
Come on, bro.
Sony have been there before. They done it with the PS2. I was there when they're pimping up that, a lot of people.
That's why I bought a PS3 to launch. I was
a lot of people were really excited about getting their PS2. They could just put their PS1 games in there and play it. It's always been.
Yeah. You could put your old system away and still play those old games.
It's always been great.
Yeah, I know it's been a factor. It just kind of annoyed me during this gen.
You just don't like the Xbox, man.
No, I'm just saying.
Just say it, man. Come on, man.
Just admit it, man.
It annoyed me going into this in this current gen that people for some reason forgot about it when their consoles didn't do it. Kind of like what T was referring to. But then all of a sudden it became a big deal again as soon as Xbox started. Like that's what irked me about it.
But I will say Wii U got so much other shit, so much other hate that like that was just another thing to throw at the, who gives a shit about that? You can't even run the Xbox 360 games, right? So nobody even we couldn't even get to that. That one thing that it had that was great. We couldn't even get to that because they had to deal with, is it just an upgrade to the Wii?
And plus,
can you run 360 games good on it?
At that point, the Wii was kind of, I wouldn't say an embarrassment, but it was kind of people were over it was past its hype prime, and it was like,
the Wii was past its hype in late 2009 probably.
But I would say the same kind of reaction I'm seeing to people. I mean, it's fair point to say. Because now, we're seeing that you can get into your game in 5 seconds now. And it's like, well, I used to do that on my Super NES, like that's not new, but it's new since 1996 was the last cartridge-based system. And even some N64 games had load times. So it's like, it's been a long time. There's people like Robert who's never known, as far as a new system, where you don't have to wait for your games to load and stuff. So I mean, it's been done before, but to see it happening now with modern games it's good that it's coming back, and that we can get away from, because that was one of the biggest things for me personally when the PlayStation 1 came out. Went to the old Family Video, rented, anybody that knows Family Video in the Midwest and in the U.S. It was like a Blockbuster, locally owned, but then it got huge in that area. Rent the PlayStation 1, rented Warhawk, and I can't remember the other game. I don't think I gave him 2 controllers for like $20 for the night. And we boot that, turn the thing on, and see that awesome logo. Man, we're hyped, putting discs in. And I just remember I was not prepared. I don't know what I was thinking was going to happen, but I was not prepared for loading times. I just didn't do enough research as a Nintendo fan. I wasn't even looking for that. I had no idea. And we're just like, what the hell? I still remember this, like, what the fuck's taking so long? And I didn't know the technology of it. And then they didn't have a memory card with the rental, so I couldn't save our games and stuff. And we're just like, that was my very first impression of a disc-based system, the PlayStation. I never played a game off a disc before. That was my first impression, and it was one of those, you can only make a first impression one time, and it stuck with me for the longest time, where I still remember that very, like it was, I mean, not yesterday, but like maybe a few years ago. That's how.
Did you not play like
Sega CD?
Commodores or?
I never even knew what a Commodore 64 was till.
Damn, that was loaded, man. Sometimes
they weren't as popular here, bro.
No.
The screen would be black for like a minute, and you're like,
yeah. Is it working? Like, I don't even know if it's working.
And then something will happen. You're like, fuck me.
So I had the NES, I had the Super NES, I had the N64, and that was my gaming. Well, an Atari back in the day. My buddy had a computer with floppy disks, like the big floppy disk where you'd load a game, but it was just the simple stuff, nothing major. So that at that time, that was my gaming. Now, and the PlayStation came out before the N64, didn't it?
Yeah.
Like a year before.
Came out in 94 in Japan, 95 and
so it was just a weird shock to the system type thing, because we had magazines and stuff, but no one talked about that I remembered at the time. Rocky says Ori on Switch just got a patch. Do you have?
Yeah, it did.
What kind of patch? Because it was already a solid ass port. I don't know. Was there a glitch?
They did some bug fixes. A lot of it's bug. Oh, I can read it real quick. It's not crazy long. Stability fixes to address multiple memory crashes, graphical crash, and a undock, swap crash, spirit trial leaderboards, and ghosts updated to show your friends' scores and routes. Improved spirit trial frame rate performance. Fix multiple instances of Ori falling out of the world due to scene loading, race conditions, and the last one is curtailed internet pop-up warning when swapping from online to offline during gameplay.
Well, they're supporting the game. I hope people are, if you only have a Switch or you don't, you know, you don't really want to buy games for your PC or something. I mean, that's one game you should pick up. You know, anybody that's out there. I mean, because yeah, there's been some games, but for the most part, Animal Crossing was your big hitter, and then Pokemon got DLC, you know, and some Smash DLC. But it's, for me, like, if you have a Switch in 2020 and you didn't buy Will of the Wisp, unless you just got a shit ton of games to play, that, like, I highly recommend that game. Basically, what I'm saying, and it's just
definitely.
It's good to see when they make when a port's done right, like, people praise it, and you want to see it do well, because that was one of the big things with the Wii U, like you were talking about, was it couldn't run 360 games. So you're getting all these bad ports, and so hopefully people support good ports, and we'll see. They talked about they have no plans to make an Ori 3. Kind of feel like they will, and hopefully whatever Nintendo system's out at the time, they just keep coming.
Did you hear that they're going to be making a? I think it's like a Zelda-like game next.
Yeah.
What they're talking about.
Who?
We've already been getting a lot of those recently.
Moon
Yeah,
Studio.
the Ori team.
Ori guys.
Oh yeah.
But anyway, we're at the 2 hour mark, so we're gonna get out of here. But appreciate everybody for tuning in. It was a little bit of a slow news week, really, but good discussion. And yeah, anybody got any final thing to say? Did I forget anything? No.
Life is short.
Yeah.
Nintendo needs a charge for localization.
Go vote.
Go old school.
Get your votes in. I dropped my vote ballot off at the local clerk last
Yes,
week.
vote.
And I don't know. Are they updating or do they have to wait till after to show any kind of results? I haven't been following it. They're not like posting.
No, they can't. What they can do is they can post like party affiliation, but not every state has party affiliation. So they can post the numbers on that, but that doesn't mean who you're voting for.
Okay.
Even. So you know, by law, they can't do any real counting until the day of. So.
But yeah, so I'm anxiously awaiting the results for that. I've never been so invested in an election in my life. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. But yeah, so thanks everybody for tuning in, and thanks to you guys. Good discussion this week, and we'll be back next week. Do it all again. Peace. Man, the one thing I hate about this room is